comes to Greece's aid and tries to prop up other European countries very deep in debt. Indiana Republican Congressman Mike Pence says that the U.S. doesn't have the money to bail out Europe and is working on legislation to stop it. Sir, good to have you.
Thank you, Neil.
I admire your efforts, Congress, and what you're trying to do here. What worries me is the bigger potential of abuse here, where Congress steps in and sort of polices the IMF and World Bank and politicizes the lending process. These agencies were set up to avoid just that. What say you?
Well, I think under ordinary circumstances that would be a legitimate concern. The IMF was essentially established to be the lender of last resort for developing countries and emergencies for the industrialized world to step in. And so I think for Congress to come in and be dictating what position various administrations would take would be ordinary. But I have to there's nothing ordinary about what the IMF is doing with the full support of this administration for Greece, or has the potential to do after last Sunday's announcement, putting American taxpayers on the hook for as much as $56 billion in loan guarantees.
Well, is there any country, Congressman, where you would draw the line? Any country where you would draw the line and say no? This one is either worth it, this one's not for it. Are there some countries too big to fail and that have to get support from either the IMF or the World Bank?
Well, look, I think there's one country that is too big to fail in my book, and that's the United States of America. And the United States of America is now running about a $9.2 trillion public debt. It left unchecked within the next 10 to 15 years, we will be Greece at the rate this government is spending money and the rate our entitlements are growing. And before we start to put American taxpayers on the hook for loan guarantees to Greece or to Europe, we ought to be putting our fiscal house in order.
No doubt. And Congressman, but go forward, sir. Could you go forward? Here's what I worry about. Let's say now you don't want this money going to Greece. That's your right, your concern, your clear goal. Now let's say in the future, say, all right, well, Congress can dictate what these lending agencies do. So let's say there's a Chilean labor movement going on, and we want to see world monies fund that. Wouldn't you find that an encroachment?
Well, look, what we want to look at is the issue right now. And
yeah, but you know what happens. You know what happens.
But look, what I'm saying is that we ought to put our own fiscal house in order, and Europe ought to put its own fiscal house in order. The European Union was formed to compete economically with the United States of America. The very idea that the EU is going to the IMF, of which we're the largest contributor, and getting tens of billions of dollars in loan guarantees that future generations of Americans may well be on the hook for, to bail out what was designed to be a competitive economic system.
No, I understand everything you're saying. I understand everything you're saying, Congressman, and you're a real patriot about this. All I'm just saying is be careful getting what you wish for, because other congressmen's interests and others who have diametrically opposed views on other issues will get into other IMF and World Bank issues. And then you've got a problem.
I hear you on that. That's probably wise and typically sagacious counsel on your part. Right now, the reality is the United States of America is on a pathway to the same fiscal crisis that Greece is at today, that Portugal and Spain and Italy and Ireland are facing. And we have to lead by example. The best thing we could do is to put our own fiscal house in order, demonstrate fiscal discipline here at home, get our economy growing again with sound tax policies, and say to our friends in Europe, put your own fiscal house in order, and stop coming to the world community, especially the United States, for a global TARP fund, putting off to tomorrow the tough decisions you ought to be making today.
Gotcha. Congressman, good having you on again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil.